Hello, students. A very good morning to you, and welcome you all in the second part of the second chapter, that is microorganisms. Students, in previous part, we have studied about classification or about major groups of microorganisms, where we have studied about bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, and viruses. After that, we have studied about habitats of microorganisms, that they are present everywhere, they are omnipresent. And we have studied about different uses of microorganisms, in which we have studied how microorganisms, how bacteria, fungi, algae, they are useful for for human beings. Now in this part, we will study about harmful microorganisms. Harmful microorganisms means we will study about pathogens, how they cause diseases. We will study about communicable and non-communicable diseases. Then we will study about diseases in humans, in animals, in plants, and food preservation and methods of food preservation. Now, students, the first topic in this part is harmful microorganisms. When we talk about microorganisms, we are knowing that we are having five major groups of microorganisms, in which bacteria, fungi, and algae, most of them, they are useful for human beings, means they are the good ones. And some of them are disease causing, or they cause other harms to humans as well as plants and animals. But when we talk about protozoa, some are disease causing, and only few of them are useful for human beings. And when we talk about viruses, they are not useful for human beings. They all are disease causing organisms. They cause diseases in plants, animals, and human beings. So the disease causing microorganisms means those microorganisms which cause diseases in human beings, in animals, and in plants. They are called pathogens. They all are parasitic in nature, means they live inside or outside of their host. They take nutrition from them and they cause diseases in them. So these organisms, these microorganisms or these pathogens, they can kill the living organisms. Not all the time they kill they kill their host, but in most of the time they can kill their living organisms also. And many microbial diseases, they can spread from infected person to healthy person through air, water, food, or physical contacts. So on the basis how diseases occur in human body or in plant or animal body, on the basis of this, diseases are of two types: communicable diseases and non communicable diseases. First of all, we will see communicable diseases. So diseases which can spread from one person to another are called communicable diseases or infectious diseases. As for example, cholera, common cold, tuberculosis, chickenpox, influenza, etc. These are the communicable diseases which can spread from one person to another person. Next, non communicable diseases. Diseases which cannot be spread from one person to another person. Such diseases are called non communicable diseases. As for example, heart diseases, heart stroke, cancer, diabetes, lung diseases, kidney diseases. These diseases are not communicable, means they are non communicable diseases. Next, how do microbes enter in humans? Means how pathogens, how disease causing microorganisms, they enter in humans. So they enter in our body in many ways. First, through the air we breathe. Suppose the air in which human beings are breathing, that air is infected by the fungal spores, by bacterial cells, by protogens, and by viruses. And when we inhale that air, when we breathe in that air, then we can get such diseases, because these microbes, they will enter in our body. So common cold and influenza, these are the diseases which are caused by, which are spread by air, where the microorganisms, the pathogens, they are present in air. Next, through the food we eat. Sometimes what happens, The microorganism, disease causing microorganisms or the pathogens, they are present in food, and when we consume it, then also they enter in our body. As for example, cholera is a bacterial disease, so it may be possible its bacteria, that is vibrio cholerae, is present in food. Suppose dysentery, so dysentery is also caused by one protozoan, that is ant amoeba. Different species are there. It may be possible that these microorganisms or pathogens, they are present in food, and when human beings consume them, then they will enter in our body. Then through the water we drink, it may be possible that water is also infected, water is also contaminated by the microorganisms, and when human beings consume that water, when they drink that water, then these microorganisms will enter in their body. So cholera and dysentery, again, these are the diseases which are spread by food as well as by water. Then through direct contact with the infected person, as measles and chickenpox, smallpox, this time the COVID also. Now, through carriers such as houseflies, many bacterial diseases are spread by houseflies. One of them is cholera also. Then mosquitoes are the carriers of malaria. We know female Anopheles is the carrier of one of the protozoa, that is plasmodium, and it is the causal organism of malaria. Then dengue fever is spread by female aedes, and it is also a protozoan disease. Then other insects, as we know, one fly is there, that is a carrier which spread the causal organism of sleeping sickness, that is trypanosoma. Then rats, means many viral and bacterial diseases are spread by rats. So just like that, so many other animals are also there which are carrier, which spread the diseases. And for, that is how microorganisms, they enter in humans body. Now we will discuss about some human diseases caused by microorganisms. So first of all, we will see the diseases caused by bacteria. So first one is cholera. Cholera is a bacterial disease. It is caused by one bacterium, that is Vibrio cholerae. Mode of transmission is water and food, means if water or food, they are infected by this bacteria, and these two are consumed by human beings, then they will enter in our body and they will cause cholera. Then next one is typhoid. Typhoid is also a bacterial disease which is caused by one bacterium, that is Salmonella typhi. It is spread by air. Next, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is also a bacterial disease which is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it is also spread by air. So what we should do, what are the general preventive measures or precautions one should follow to protect themselves from these diseases? So always we should drink clean water, means drink boiled water. Then properly cooked food. When we cook our food properly, then if microorganisms will present there, then they will killed. And after that, when we cook the food also, this is also very important to cover the food all the time. Then maintain good sanitation practices. Then keep personal articles of the patient away from those of others, from away from a healthy person. And then get vaccinated at proper age so that your body will develop antibodies against these diseases. Then next, by viruses. So first viral disease is measles. Measles is a viral disease which is caused by rubeola virus, and it is also spread by air. Then chickenpox, it is also a viral disease which is spread in air and because of direct contact. Then polio is spread by air and water. Then hepatitis A, it is spread by water and food. So what we have to do, we have to keep the patient and his personal articles in complete isolation from others. Then get vaccinated, drink boiled water, and all the time all these preventive measures are same in all the conditions, in all the diseases. The next one is by protozoa. So protozoa, that is malaria. Malaria is a disease which is caused by one protozoan. It is spread by, mode of transmission is mosquito because mosquito is a carrier. But it is spread by, means it is caused by, the causal organism of malaria is Plasmodium. It is a protozoan. 4 species of Plasmodium is they are responsible for the disease malaria. And what we have to do, just don't allow water to collect in surrounding. Why? Because these are the breeding places of mosquitoes. Now the second one, to spray kerosene on the surface of water, because it makes a separate layer on the water and it blocks the oxygen to go in the water from atmosphere, that kills the larvae of mosquito. And then use mosquito nets and repellents. Now some animal diseases caused by microorganisms. So first one is foot and mouth disease. It is a viral disease. It is caused by one virus and it happens in disease is caused in cattle. Then anthrax disease. Anthrax disease is caused by one bacterium, anthrax. About this we have studied in class 7th also. So not only in cattle, this disease is caused in human beings also. Then sleeping sickness in cattle, pigs and horses, in human beings also. This disease is caused by one protozoa, that is Trypanosoma. Now next one. Next is some diseases caused by microorganisms in plants. So first one is rust of wheat. Rust of wheat is caused by one fungi, that is Puccinia graminis. And one more disease of wheat, that is smut of wheat. So that disease also, it is caused by fungi and they spread by air and seeds. Then citrus canker. Citrus canker is a bacterial disease which is caused by one bacterium, that is Xanthomonas citri, and this disease is caused in citrus fruits, and this disease also, it is spread by air. Then yellow vein mosaic disease of ladyfinger, that is okra or bhindi. It is a viral disease and it is spread by insects. Then tobacco mosaic. Tobacco mosaic is a disease which is caused by TMV, that is tobacco mosaic virus disease, and it is spread by hands and clothing of field workers. Our next topic is food preservation and its advantages. Before knowing food preservation, we should know what is the need to preserve food. So we know, student, when we cook the food and we kept it as it is for long time without refrigeration, it may get spoiled. Why? Because it may be possible that it may get oxidized by air, or the microorganisms, that is bacteria and fungi, they are present in air, they will come and they will start decomposing it. So the food gets spoiled. Now, how we come to know that the food is unfit for consumption or food is get spoiled? So there are some indicators also that we get from the food only. Sometimes some foul smell, foul odor comes from the food. It also tells us that food is spoiled. Sometimes food gives very bad taste or sourness developed in the food. It also tells us that food is spoiled and it is not fit for consumption. And sometimes food also develops some different colors than normal color, means its color changes, and it also tells us that food is spoiled. And sometimes some food materials as bread or pickles or cheese or other fruit items also, on them, when they become when they get spoiled, on them some cottony growth also develops, and that cottony growth is because of molds and some fungus. So when that food get spoiled, just in order to protect the food or to prevent them from spoilage, we should preserve the food. So the process by which the spoilage of food by microorganisms is prevented, this is called food preservation, because In most of the cases, the food is spoiled because of microorganisms. They develop on them and they cause spoilage of the food. So when by the process we prevent the spoilage of food by microorganisms, this is called food preservation. Now, what are the advantages of food preservation? Food preservation reduces the food wastage due to spoilage. Suppose food is spoiled and we cannot consume it, so what we do, we just throw the food. So this is the food wastage. So when food is preserved, it reduces the food wastage. Then it increases the shelf life for food of food item. Means the food items, when they are preserved, they last for long time. Then it ensures food availability during off seasons, yes, and when and in distant places also. Then it maintains the nutritional value and flavor of food. So these are the advantages of food preservation. Now, methods of preservation. So in first method of food preservation is drying or dehydration. So drying means removal of water from the material. Dehydration or drying means removal of water from the food material. So this process reduces the moisture content of food, and always the moisture, it helps the growth of microorganism. So when we dry the food item or the water is removed from the food item, then this process, dehydration or drying, this prevent the growth of microorganisms, and we can preserve so many food items by drying process, as for example cereals, pulses, vegetables like spinach, and spices also. We can preserve them by sun drying. Now, dehydrated foods, they are sealed in packets and they are kept at room temperature. Next one is boiling. So some food items as milk and water, they are preserved by boiling is a process in which the material is heated on very high temperature, and this process kills microorganisms. After that, refrigeration and freezing. So there is difference between refrigeration and freezing. When you keep the food item in between 4 degrees Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius, then it is called refrigeration. And when you keep the food items below minus 18 degrees Celsius, then it is called freezing. So just like boiling and other processes, also cooling by refrigeration and freezing, they also help to preserve food items. So refrigeration and freezing, they stop the growth of microorganisms. They stop them from growing and multiplying. They do not kill the microbes, they just stop them from growing and multiplying. So we can preserve so many food items by freezing, as milk, meat, and vegetables and fruits also. Then next process is salting and adding sugars. So many food items, they are preserved by adding salt or sugars. So we know when we add salt or sugar, the microorganisms, their cells, they lose water. Okay, and microorganisms, they will not be able to grow in such food items where salt and sugars are mixed. So when we add salt and sugar, they draw the water from the microbial cell and they do not let them grow in the food items. Except salting and adding sugar, we can sometimes we use spices, oil, vinegar, etc., and in nitrogen also to food for food preservation. Okay, so salting, we know that salting is used to preserve pickles, raw mangoes, meat and fish, and sugar is used in the case of jam, jellies, sauces, etc. Next process is pasteurization. This process, pasteurization, is named after the scientist, that is Louis Pasteur, because Louis Pasteur, he gave that method of preservation. Means first of all, pasteurization method is invented by Louis Pasteur, means he initiated that practice of pasteurization. So what is pasteurization? Pasteurization, we all know that milk is preserved by pasteurization. So what is pasteurization? In this method, first of all, milk is heated at about 70 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 30 seconds, and then this milk is quickly cooled or chilled and stored in sterilized bottles or pouches. So when we heat the milk, then it kills the bacteria present in milk, and when we quickly cool them, it prevents the remaining bacteria. Suppose some bacteria remained by killing in the heating process, so that remaining bacteria, they cannot grow by quick cooling. So heating process kills the bacteria, and quick cooling prevent the remaining bacteria from growing. And so many other food items are also there which are preserved by pasteurization, as honey, beer, wine, juices, etc. Next process is use of chemicals. So some chemicals are also there, as vinegar, sodium benzoate, or potassium metabisulfate. They are used as preservatives in the food items as jams and ketchups, etc. Next process is canning. Canning means proper storage and packing. So sometimes food items, they are canned, they are enclosed in cans, they are sealed in cans. Before this, they are heated at 120 degrees Celsius temperature to destroy microorganisms. After that, they are canned, they are properly stored and packed. Okay, so canned food items, they remain good for many years, and the canned food, they are not damaged also. So dry fruits and vegetables also, they are preserved by this method. Now, one simple question is, what will happen if the food is not preserved properly? When the food is not preserved properly, then obviously that food may get spoiled. And when the food is get spoiled, obviously it will be spoiled because of microorganisms. So when that food is consumed by human beings, it can lead to food poisoning. Okay, so many problems are there, as diarrhea or vomiting or stomach pain. These are the symptoms of food poisoning. So because of that, some bacteria, they develop in the food, and they causes these problems because they produce toxic substances in the food items. And these food toxic substances, these toxins, they cause problem in our body. Next thing, if we do not preserve the food, if they get spoiled, what we do, we if we do not consume them, then we throw them. So it leads to the wastage of food also. That is why food preservation is very important. Thank you, students.